All right, track two is one of my picks. It's from DJ Kicks. It's an album called DJ Kicks by an artist called Logic. The song name is Dippity, and I actually don't know what WIDFU means, but that's the slash in the title. And it's actually a remix that Logic did of one of Saya Gray's songs from her release in 2024 called QWERTY 2, which were some of her early releases. A big reason why I picked this track is Saya Gray released an album named Saya Gray in on my birthday this year, which was actually featured in episode 31. It's one of the songs that I had picked, and I talked a bunch about that album. That's definitely my number one album of the year is the Saya Gray release. But I wanted to release something a little bit different because I'm such a fan of collaborations that I thought that this Logic 1000 album was really, really good. DJ Kicks. This is Samantha Poulter from Berlin, Germany. And it's an album that's really heavily focused around balancing energy from emotional intimacy with the energy of clubs. And she talks openly about this album being something where she slowed down, she got sober, she was really focused on her own self-growth and widening her listening palette. And I didn't really ever dive into much of Logic 1000's previous work, so I don't know what the club sounds were that she was into. But this album, it's kind of some of the genre bending that I'm seeing in the club scene. Everything from Fred. Oh my gosh, what is Fred's name? Fred Again is the name of the artist. Similarly, like the beats of club and house music are getting merged with like folk, and they historically they've been mixed with hip hop lyrics and stuff like that. But there's this like soul that's coming in, and I really love the direction that this genre is going. I don't even know if it has an official name yet. But I think Logic 1000 does a really great job with it. Some of the lyrics from this track that stand out for me are one of the ones that is probably the most important to me that I end up hanging a hook on every time is those who seem happy have less than what I've got. And I know like the zeitgeist around 2025 has been that it's been a really hard year for most people. And I am not isolated from this being a hard year. And so it's a lyric that reminds me that some of the happiest people are some of the people that have the least material, the least money, that they live a life that is appreciating what they do have. They have the sunshine, they have the people in front of them. Like the things that are most important are the things that oftentimes get overlooked when we get anxious about the rest of the world around us. So I love that. I love the way that Logic 1000 created this sort of spaciousness in the song. If you go back and listen to the original track, it's a bit more bombastic. And I like that also, but I just think that the collaborative project is super cool. I like that it came together, and I'm curious what you guys thought about it. Sean, I'd love to throw it to you first.
I really like hearing your interpretation of what the song means and how it fits in your life. One of my reflections on the year-end playlist is that we don't have as much lived experience with the songs as we do on some of the other themes. So I think it's very interesting to me that you do have a lived experience with this song, and it sort of matched themes in your life and things that you're doing with your partner and stuff like that. So I think that's nice to hear, and it makes it sort of even more important. So not only is it a great song, but it fits in this important part of your life. For me, though, I will say I don't know that I picked up on any of that. I think The song itself is unique and kind of glitchy and experimental, and kind of surprising in some ways, to where I think I never really got past the point of kind of geeking out on the unpredictability of the song and how it kind of comes together. I really like the experimental nature of it, and the fact that it's just very different sonically from other things that typically I'm exposed to. In other words, I guess I have to go find music like this as opposed to it reaching me. I think that, and you'll see that in some of my songs, like I just don't listen to this kind of glitchy, experimental pop very often, but I like it. And I like the fact that it's sort of in the early parts, it's like strings and congas, and it's kind of this minimalist soundscape, which I think you had said there's lots of space in it and stuff, and I agree. I think that's really appealing, and then she's doing interesting things in terms of being a vocalist over the sounds. So lots of interesting things, and then it's got a slash in it. I think it's meant to be two tracks in one, and there's some abrupt transitions. So it's all just very, very interesting. I didn't know that much about Saya Gray, but Toronto artist, and like you said, an early release of the song in the year. So it's really good across the board. It's actually really, really popular. It's got nearly 500,000 plays across the year. So pretty popular song. And yeah, I think it's nice to consider the sort of two songs in one and the remix. And it always makes me wonder what the original artist thinks about the remix when it comes from someone else. So I suppose that's sort of where my mind wanders to as I think about it. But I liked the song, and it's nice to see Saya Gray come back around.
Yeah, I agree. I always appreciate the throwback to previous featured artist on another one. And it's crazy to me to think that episode 31 was just earlier this year. It feels like so long ago to us, since we haven't done the podcast in a while. So I was happy to see Saya Gray pop back up in a different way. And I agree with you, Brett. The collaborations are always exciting and different. And Sean, exactly what you just said. I did kind of go back and say, well, what was the original before the remix? I did that on another track we'll talk about later with Dive. Because I think there is a contrast, especially when you're unfamiliar with the original, to hear a remix first and then go back and say, all right, well, what did the new version change from the original version? What do I like better? What's different? What's exciting about this new remix? There's some things that I'll point out that weren't quite yet is the visualizer. So when you go to the YouTube link after this, you'll see a visualizer, and it is super colorful and artistic. And I tried to research who made that. It's kind of a bit of a complaint that I think that the visual is so cool. I would love to know who created that. It's like this upside down, like cricket human morph kind of thing spinning upside down. And it's super like mesmerizing, and put to this music kind of fits. I think when the visual art matches the feeling of the audio art is a unique thing. It doesn't always happen that way, but this one was kind of like, okay, this feels that way. So I thought that was really cool. I did notice too, Brett, the track that you dropped on the Spotify playlist is a shorter version, and this is more of like the one on YouTube is more of a longer version. So the listener kind of gets a 2-for-1 here, where they can hear kind of the shorter condensed version of the track, and then the longer, maybe drawn out, takes a little bit more patience to sit with. But man, when you get the visualizer up and you're watching that, it's easy to kind of sit and rest with this too. So I thought it was cool. I'm happy to hear that this is one of your favorite albums of the year, Brett, and happy to have it come up twice in 1 year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just went and pulled up the visualizer because I was curious if I had picked the original off of QWERTY 2 or if I picked the DJ Kicks mix. And it's actually the one that I gave you guys is the original. So that's the one that was made for the QWERTY 2 release in 2024. So that's interesting. I'm happy to leave it in there just because it's a legacy, and I think that it's more interesting. There's no visualizer for the DJ Kicks version that Logic 1000 released. So that's, yeah. So I would encourage people to check out, if you like this sound and you like this song, go check out the Logic 1000 release, which is called DJ Kicks. And yeah, I think Saya Gray is one of the well, I don't know about the international landscape, but what I do know is that she's traveling and touring primarily international locations. Like, I don't think she's come to the United States. If she has, it's probably been sort of unannounced and unreleased. She originally, I think, grew up in New York. But when she's traveling with her own project, now that she's released her first official debut album, all of the work previously, including Corti 2, were experimental albums where she wasn't signed with a label, and they weren't official album releases. They were more like mixtapes. And so, yeah, she's just been doing international tours primarily in Europe. So it's not surprising to me that she would be collaborating with a producer like Logic, who's based in Germany. Yeah, it makes me want to travel more to go see artists like this that are not playing major cities in the United States. I'm curious about that scene. So here it is. This is DIPAD33 and W.I.D.F.U off of the DJ Kicks album, which is a Logic 1000 project. And this is a track that is in collaboration with Saya Gray.